Hey guys, and welcome to what I think is like episode 10 of my replay analysis. I've just been doing them all day, so I've kind of lost count. Today we're going to be following the IO, who didn't tell me his MMR, but he is in the normal skill bracket, which I believe is like 3.5 and under. So probably somewhere around 3.5 and under. He's going to be playing dual mid, IO Tiny, and he does say, he knows he did many things wrong. He says, namely not carrying dust from Rana, ult, stupidly dying, and losing the lane to Sniper. So unfortunately, it looks like he does lose the lane to Sniper a couple times. Looks like he is going to break those trees so he can get a double stack off here, which means he's probably somewhere. Either he really plays Wisp a lot, or he's probably around like above 3k for sure, I would imagine. As it looks like he's definitely clearing the trees for the pull there. So he's going to be playing the Wisp, going to be going for the bottle rush over here. Probably going to secure him the bounty rune so he can just grab that bottle almost instantly. As it looks like it's going to be a solo off or solo safe lane TA, and they do win this game. They do come back. It's pretty well even for the majority of the game, and then I don't know, kind of goes crazy near the end of the game, and IO Tiny kind of shows why it's really strong. And it looks like the Tiny's just going to try and scare away the Sniper, but not going to be able to do too much. So we'll take a look at this, see how this game goes. Hopefully I can help him out a little bit, since he does win, and he said it might be a little bit hard. And Wisp is kind of a tough hero to analyze, as it looks like Tidehunter does give first blood to the anti-mage, and that's never a good way to start it, but we know they win the game, so it doesn't matter. Alright, so we'll just take a look off the bat. We'll take a look at this Tiny's items, who doesn't have a stout shield, which is a little bit unfortunate. Which means it's going to be pretty hard for him to deal with the Sniper. He's just going to be able to take pot shots here. He is going to start regenning up with the bottle, which I think is kind of the first issue here. Realistically, you don't have tangos, which is fine. Sometimes it's good to start with tangos. Sometimes you just want to get the straight bottle rush. Most of the time you want to get the straight bottle rush. But the Tiny does have tangos. And if you don't have to use the bottle, then there's no reason to. Because really you could just get a tango from the Tiny and tether him and just start regenning up a little bit there. So he's taking a ton of damage right now, just face tanking that. Hopefully he buys a stout shield, or else it's pretty much game losing. As the Tiny just eating all that damage there. And there's not really much you can do. As the IO, looks like you're just kind of looking to stack, but you're a little bit early, unfortunately. Gonna get your boots first. Alright, so nice there. And Tiny, again, just tanking a lot of damage. Should honestly just go and, grab the Tango himself. And really needs a stout shield. It's kind of killing me that he's not going to grab one. And it looks like you're going to go for the double pull. So that's alright. Tiny's having kind of a hard time, which is unfortunate. I hear a stun going on in the background as well. So he did have to spend that. And we'll kind of see 53 and 55. Yeah, there you go. So you're going to get the double pull, which is nice. Should get both stacked up. I can't imagine you wouldn't. And there it isn't, actually. So the large camp doesn't get stacked there. I'm surprised. That was pretty odd. But you at least get the medium stack, which is good. Tiny will, I'm sure, be happy with anything. And he goes for the Craggy. Because he can't deal with the right clicks. Okay, so that's really important. That the Tiny is now forced to get Craggy. You can either get the bottom rune or Bottle Crow. It looks like you're going to go for the rune here. And the Mirana's looking for it as well. So hopefully you don't have to eat an arrow. But you're not really paying 100% attention. So you got to be a little bit careful. And you're going to get the haste rune. The Mirana's not. You probably, if you had spirits, could have killed the Mirana there. But that's no problem. As well as the spirits are going to help you harass the Sniper out. You just kind of have to watch. Obviously, you don't want them to push the lane or whatever, but if you're pretty good with the range and you play IO a lot, I think the spirits are a lot better for forcing the Sniper out of the lane. Mirana looks like she's trying to get an arrow from across there, but you are ready and waiting for that to happen. And there you go. You're going to start bottling up the Tiny. There's the arrow way off mark there, and Tiny is now full regen. The Sniper probably pretty sad with that because there's not really much you can do about it other than just try to hit you some more. So not going too poorly. You're going to miss another pull, unfortunately. So you probably should have bottled the Tiny up a little bit earlier just in order to get that. And going to tank a tower hit there. I think the Tiny, getting a little bit aggressive there, going to tank the tower himself as well. So you probably should grab a tango from him, but you're just going to go stack a little bit early, unfortunately. Tiny IO, Sniper's not really the greatest here to go against because he can just stand so far back. Like, it's so hard to kill him. He's not like a Shadow Fiend or something that you can tether up and have somebody start running. And does that Tiny have a bottle as well? I think he does. So you got a double bottle, which honestly you should have both. He shouldn't. If he's going to buy it, you should have both. But he probably should have bought brown boots, like Stout Shield, something like that. You're going for the stack. Should get this one. Hopefully. And yeah, this one for sure you got. If you didn't get this one, I don't even know what's happening. As it looks like the Sniper's going to get that rune, and you're checking. Yes, you did get it, so nicely done there. And you can Bottle Crow if you have to. You bought your brown boots. Unfortunately, I'm not sure anybody else is like doing anything. Tiny's going to grab the bounty rune, and this is when you should really be communicating that you need his bottle here. Looks like he's going to bottle you up. I imagine he's like really having difficulties doing that. I don't know what's going on. And yeah, there it is. So he's going to bottle you up. He should honestly just give you his bottle. Bat Rider's going to kill TA. That's definitely going to happen a lot. I actually just casted a Bat Rider game. I never see this hero. And now the trees are up, so unfortunately you're not going to be able to do double stacks. Sniper Illusion is not paying attention, so that's good for you. Hopefully this courier doesn't die when you pull these creeps, which it probably shouldn't. And no, it won't. Okay, so that's good. Courier doesn't have to die. You're going to get this nice stack again. And that's a 3 stack, so not too bad. Should have been one more. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened with that first one, but not doing too bad. We'll kind of speed through this. I just realized I wasn't really doing that, but go through this game. And you're starting to pay attention bottom. You should definitely tether this guy up. Yeah, there it is. So this Mirana should be dead. And that's a dead Mirana. You weren't really toggling the spirits there, but you gotta keep in mind to toggle them. Make sure you get the most out of them. You're gonna start healing up this Tiny, which is nice. He's got a DD. And it looks like you're ready to pull another stack. That TA looks like she's probably going to die. No, just barely going to survive. And yeah, she should be fine. Nice, nice, nice. That was really good. That was actually huge. So you're very map aware, which is really solid. You don't have to work on map awareness so far. Looking pretty good so far. You get another stack there, and you go for him. And that could have been very dangerous for you and the Tiny there. But the Tiny doesn't die. I think he just Wait, does he die? Oh no, he just runs back home. Okay, so the Tiny doesn't die, that's good. And he can TP back into lane, which is fine. You now have Tranquil Boots, which is actually pretty huge. And what does Tiny have for items? So it looks like he wants an eggs. You probably should have told him to grab a Blink Dagger, most likely. And then you guys can be like super aggressive with relocates and blinks and all that fun stuff. And you can really make the most out of the space on the map, especially against an AM. Your team's just dying bot. There's not really much you could do, honestly. We'll go back and look at that, actually. I didn't even realize you died. I don't even realize where you were. Okay, so you show up there, you tether up. Alright, so yeah, that's kind of the issue. You come to save the fight, and honestly, you should have just turned around at this point. There's 4 heroes up. One of them's the Sniper. You're very, very squishy as IO, which I'm sure you know. But a short-range tether like that is really going to do nothing. You've only got 1 point into overcharge, I think is what it's called. Yeah, you've only got 1 point into overcharge, so it's not really going to help her. And you just die in like 4 shots. So should have turned around. You really should have recognized like that fight and how you would have just died almost instantly. Your team's not really doing too much here, so trying to keep them alive. Maybe that TA looks like she's just going to turn around anyways and probably give up her life as well. We'll speed up through this. Ember's going to go down. TA still alive there, just sitting pretty. And so, okay, so there's your first kind of blender, is just not really recognizing like how squishy IO is, especially against a Sniper that can just sit in the back. So Sniper's actually really good against Wisp because he can just be really far away. Like Wisp wants to be in the back, and Sniper is okay with that. I mean, he really is. He's fine with that. He can sit quite far as well and just shoot you. He can ult you while you're in the back, which may prompt like a really early relocate or something like that. Looks like you're going to get this tower. And from here, you should probably go for your stacks. You're going to get the tower, not the Tiny, but I would say do your stacks here, as you did lose the tier 1 top. And usually when you lose the tier 1 top, like you've still got the mid tier 1. But as your jungle starts to get constricted, you really need to relay how important the stacks are, because if the enemy team takes them, that's like really bad, because not only did you waste the time stacking that you could have been harassing or setting up another kill, but you also waste the gold. And it looks like you will do the stacks, which is good. So you're going to grab them. Tiny doing whatever he can here. He's got toss. I think he's got Craigie, which is why it's not going to go too well, because, yeah, he doesn't have 3 points into the toss there. But looks like there's a fight mid. Tiny's there, and you probably should have had the Tiny tethered there. We'll reverse this just a little bit. The Tiny is really low, and if he communicates to you that he wants to go in, you should probably have him tethered up, because he's going to die. I mean, you should really convince him not to when he's that low, but tethering the Ember's not going to be all too useful. Like, Ember Spirit's just going to be using Sleight of Fist anyways, and the Tiny just dies to, like, the fire. I don't know what he's doing, but you probably could have saved him with Wand. That's kind of his fault more than it is yours, him just playing poorly. But you actually go down there as well, so we'll kind of just go over the general positioning and how I think this fight should have gone out. So you probably, right after the Ravage, you probably should have just looked to tether the Tiny and stay somewhere around here. Once you go around this corner, you kind of open yourself up to these heroes, but you can be like all the way back here tethering this Ember Spirit, and there's absolutely no danger. So you tether up the Ember Spirit, and you start to go down ahead of them. And I do it as IO as well. You kind of feel as if you're two heroes, and the thing is that unless you're really good players, like close together, like you really know how each other thinks, he's not coming along with you here. He's still chasing the Mirana, whereas it seems like you're ready to go uphill here, and that's pretty much it. So realistically, again, if we look at it, you could have been up here the entire time and been doing the exact same thing, except you would not have died. So you have to be very aware of positioning when you're playing IO. You still could have been around here and had him tethered. You could have been following up around here, and if it breaks, I mean, it's no big deal. He's already right beside him anyways, and now it looks like you're going up the cliff. There is a tether here, even though it looks like it's broken, but that's going to be pretty much that. You just should have had a little bit of a safer position up here. Anti-Mage not clicking on people's manas, and now the rest of the team is just kind of feeding it away a little bit. The sniper should have ulti, but he doesn't have vision, so just a little bit of positioning problems there. Could have made all the difference in the fight, as well as maybe a tethering issue. I don't think Ember's a good tether target because he's going to Sleight of Fist most of the time, and he's probably got Phase Booch, which means his base move speed doesn't need much. You don't need to help him out with tether move speed or anything like that, as it looks like you're going to relocate up to this fight. You're pinging him out. You're looking for the tether, but he keeps on running. So he keeps on running after that. Your spirit control is a little bit iffy here. You've got a wand. You should be able to stay alive with wand bottle, and then tethering back to the TA right now is what you should be going for. But you do just kind of dip out, and you're just going to relocate back home. So not all too effective. If only the Tiny didn't run away. But I'm not sure if you just pinged out or if you said it. I don't know if you have a microphone that you talk through or whatever. But looks like you may be able to get a couple kills here. There's the toss, and ooh, almost not gonna be able to get the kill. There's the blink on the Bat Rider, which is kind of scary. Looks like you're going to stack again, but it's too late. You're pinging out the stack for the Tiny to come and do, and he shows up. Does he have the mana for everything? It looks like yes, he does. And you're here anyways using your urn, and there you go. So you get a nice stack for him, and he's almost got his Aghanim Scepter now. Pretty much he's got it. You're gonna get bottled by him, I imagine. It looks like no, he's not even gonna bother bottling you. Just gonna save it for himself here, and you still have overcharge on. Or is that just me? Yeah, that was just the replay, I guess. So you don't have overcharge on, you're just sitting around, and now you're doing something good as well. You're going to stack the Ancients. So not too bad stacking the Ancients here. Yada, yada, yada. It's only 18 minutes in, and this is already really long, so we'll try and speed through this. You're helping your Ember Spirit bottom. Not the greatest tether target, but that's no big deal. You're helping him push. That's quite all right. Boarding up. Looking to grab what I imagine was a halberd. I think full wand is very, very good on Wisp. Just the extra charges are hella strong, and I think there's nothing wrong with it. I also like to try and stretch my gold and only buy magic stick, but I think wand has just gotten so good and so effective because there's so much team fighting now, especially when you've got a hero, using sticky napalm or shackles, whatever. All these spammable spells that they have on the Dire, which they really do. You can try to get the most out of a magic wand there. 17 charges is pretty ridiculous, and you go for a soul ring, which is fine. Gonna grab a regen rune, which is absolutely huge, and hopefully you can team fight with that. And it looks like Tiny has his eggs, so you're gonna go to push this tower, and they fort, and you should see them all on the map, so it's pretty safe here, honestly. He's gonna, destroy the tower. You can still keep pushing because you see them all on the map. And now you got one TP back. Now it's a little bit sketchy. You guys should probably just leave. And there it is. The Bat Rider's going to blink up. This guy wants to go for it. You should just be telling him to get back. And it looks like you get arrowed and you probably die there. So, again, a little bit of miscommunication here. Right when you see people off the map, you should just get out. Right when you see that guy blink in, you should get out. You don't see anybody else on the map. And your team's just kind of hanging around bot lane. Mid lane, nobody's showing. And they were just there, I think. So, got to be careful of that. You get arrowed, unfortunately. Excuse me, and that's why you go down. So a little bit of poor positioning there as well. You should have been starting to run back behind the Tiny. You always just want to try and stay at the backs of the hero you're with, or where you think the farthest like possible, place from the heroes is. So wherever you think the heroes are, you want to stay as far as possible away from them, especially in a team fight, stuff like that. Just stay away from the heroes. Gonna help this TA do the stack a little bit, and it looks like you were trying for this one, but you're not gonna get it, unfortunately. Gonna do that with spirits, which is fine. Even supports need a little bit of farm. Gonna do that one. They're gonna go down as well. Tether up, help the Tiny in. Here's the team fight. Alright, so let's watch this. So you see the snipers on the left. You should automatically be moving to the right. And it looks like you are. So you're moving to the right. You're hanging around in the fire. You shouldn't be there whatsoever. You should be tethering up this Ember. Unfortunately, he's gonna go down. And now it looks like this Tiny's probably gonna die as well. And there you go. So you actually get a nice team fight there. You stay in the back. I said you should tether the Ember, but I guess in the end that was probably not the proper target. If we go back and look at that again, actually now that I think about it, definitely wasn't. The Tiny was for sure the target there. So the Ember is already pretty much dead when you go to tether him. And there's not much you could do to save him. But if you tether the Tiny here and you bottle yourself up through this, there's like no way this Tiny dies. I'm almost certain there's no way this Tiny dies if you're earned up and stuff. Like, he's just so strong, it's actually ridiculous right now. He's got way more HP right now. The AM cannot kill him. The TA, she's there and she doesn't die either, but she probably wouldn't have died anyways because the Tiny wouldn't have died. So just got to be aware of that. And now it looks like you're going for a heart. The good old flashy IO heart. Not the best item in the game. I know people would get heart on IO. I do not think that is the item whatsoever. I think you're still looking at support items. Mechanism for sure. I'm not sure if the Tide said he was going for that. It looks like he did. But you should definitely tell him not to. You should be going for the mechanism. And from there, looks like that's going to, not work. So you try. I think you can double click to relocate now. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just saw it suggested and I thought it actually worked out. But I think you can. You die there, unfortunately. Wasn't really much you could do. And we'll kind of see how this goes so far. Just kind of watching, looking around. You could relocate to save him. It looks like you're going for it. And you could wand and keep him alive, but no, that's alright. He doesn't have enough yet. So, yeah, you're going for the heart. I think the mech is super important here. If you don't go soul ring, you probably would have been really close to the mech. But that's that happens. You do get the full wand, which, like I said, would be really good. So that's pretty solid here. You're going to be looking to do Roshan. And this is really scary for your team. You should probably not be doing this. You have a ward. If they smoke up, you guys are absolutely screwed. Or if they're Mirana ultied, which it looks like they're all coming towards you. You do get Roshan. Somebody eats an arrow. Sniper's like way up front. Not sure what he's doing. You guys get mech'd, and nobody's tethered up right now. You're going to tether the Tiny. Good target. You're going to keep him overcharged. You could not earn yourself right now because you're just going to get killed. And there you go. So yeah, he correctly. There's not really much you could do there. And the item I'm actually really forgetting right now is Glimmer Cape, which would be absolutely huge in this game. Glimmer Cape would be really, really effective in keeping yourself alive or somebody else alive a little bit longer. You just Glimmer Cape. The tether's still going. You can still use overcharge and stuff like that. Give you some magic resistance. I think Glimmer Cape definitely would have been the item this game, so I often forget about it sometimes just because it's still so new. Or I guess not so new, it's kind of old now, but if you've been playing Dota for a long time, it feels new. And here we go, you're in kind of a bad position here. If you die, that's probably why. So yeah, we'll just go over that again. And like I said, it's just poor positioning a little bit. I'm not trying to like really come down on you or be rude or whatever, but you kind of charge in as if you're the Tiny. And like I said, you should be at the back of your hero and as far away from their heroes as possible. And the sniper, he just turns around, like right clicks you once, I think. Yeah, right clicks you twice, he's dead. And now the Tiny's just stuck here. We'll see what he can get done. Looks like he can get some work done here, but you probably could have lived, and he probably could have probably had a lot more HP here, and you both could have lived happily ever after. Unfortunately, though, a little bit of mispositioning, and the Tiny is actually going to go for a Daedalus first, although he went for the AC. It looks like he was going for it. So, take a look at this. I think I have the Tiny selected, not you, actually. So, I'll take a look at you here. Go back here in case I missed anything. So, helping the Tiny out. You eat an arrow. You're not doing too bad. You're watching the team fight. Tether up. This guy probably should have gone for the Tiny, but that's alright. He still ends up getting the kill here. And okay, so now you got to be a little bit careful again. Looks like you're still doing all right. You're in the front a little bit. Eat an arrow, so that's all right. And yeah, okay, not doing too poorly. Still just hanging around. Not doing bad. Following the Ember Spirit instead of the Tiny. Realistically, what should be happening right now, and it's a little bit of the Tiny, but you know, when you're the IO player, you can really convince them to do this. Is right now, like, you shouldn't be either you shouldn't be alone in this lane, the Tiny should be with you, or you should be down here with the Tiny, and you should probably have a ward like right here, but you should be split pushing. Like, your team should be as 4 or 3, and then you and the Tiny should be together. And realistically, like, the good thing about Tidehunter with Tiny IO is that if there's a team fight, Ravage can buy you enough time to relocate in and start the team fight on the back of that Ravage. So you guys should be separate as 2. You should always be with this Tiny. There's no need to be with this guy because he's always just going to sleight of fist. He doesn't need any move speed or attack speed or anything like that. You should really always be with the Tiny. And you should be... You said they were pretty responsive to your communications. And it was a very nice game overall, which is good. So that's great. It's always nice having a fun game. But perhaps you were missing out on some communications. A beautiful relocate save there. That was absolutely massive. And looks like the Tiny's bot lane. You're probably going to end up dying. And realistically, that's the life of the Wisp. No problems there. Tiny doing some Unreal split pushing. And good for him. You're kind of watching him, keeping an eye on him. You've almost got your heart. But like I said, especially against a sniper and a bat rider, in the fights, they've got a lot of damage that can just kind of snake its way around. So the bat rider... is going to have just fire laying all around the fights. The sniper, he's going to have shrapnel going down that if you can try to stay out of, that's great. But if they just hit you once, like the heart regen's useless. A Glimmer Cape would have been a lot better. A Solar Crest even would be like really good. Just put it on the Tiny. He's like unkillable if you're behind him. And here we go. You're really way ahead and you should not be this far up. This could be really disastrous right now. You're running in, you're staying behind the Tiny now, which is good. Tether breaks, and now this guy should mech right here, and he is going to mech Guardian Grief, so you're doing a good job trying to stay out of the fire. Still doing a good job. Tether up the Tiny, tether up the Tiny, tether up the Tiny. Oh my god. Alright, so you barely catch that one. Your tether was on cooldown a little bit long, and it looks like this is probably the end of the game. You guys just like mega racks them, and that should be it. Looks like there's still one more racks, but we do know you guys win the game, so it's pretty much the end now. Keeping it up, you're going to get a Roshan, tethering up the Tiny, and you're going to get a nice relocate top, and doing pretty well here. You and the Tiny should probably not run for this fight, should just keep pushing mid or something because the fight's already over, but you go for it anyways. It's not too bad. There's the racks, ultra kill for the Ember Spirit, and GG, well played, great team. Sounds like you guys had a lot of fun, which is the best thing to take away from this. Alright, so pretty good. Couple things we can point out here. So the first thing is you did a good job stacking and pulling early on, or not pulling, I guess, just stacking. You did a good job stacking early on. You didn't really lose the lane against the sniper. Honestly, that's what sniper does, is just sit in the back, stay safe, and kind of plink away at you. Maybe you could have told your Tiny to get like a poor man's shield or something, which could have helped a bit, but no big deal. You guys still did all right. You missed a few relocates, which, like you said, you know that's just mechanical stuff. The more you play Wisp, like, you'll get better at that. But if we take a look kind of at the cons here, you kind of found yourself in an awkward position a few times, where, you know, you thought you were maybe going to get a save, or you were tethered up and you started going after heroes on your own as if you're that hero, and it feels like, I mean, I used to do this as Wisp as well. It feels as if you should pull them with you when you do tether. because you feel like, they should be coming with you, they should be on the same plane and, coming together, stuff like that. But unfortunately, that's not how it happens. You just have to stay behind the hero in the proper position and, kind of ensure that you're not up front. So just staying behind them as far away from the enemy heroes as you can without the tether breaking. Itemization, Heart is pretty flashy, but it's really not all that useful. Glimmer Cape, Solar Crest, Heaven's Halberd even is really solid. Force Staff if you need it to help save somebody. Yule Scepter is really good against the Bat Rider. You can either Yules yourself or Yules the Bat Rider to prevent him from getting a nice ult off, which he didn't really do this game anyways. Other than that, you did alright. Maybe you could have stacked a little bit more. I don't think you guys ended up doing the Ancients. I wasn't really paying too much attention to see if anybody else did it without you, though. But all in all, it was all right. You did pretty well as IO. It was a one match, and IO was kind of straightforward. You just have to do a few things. There's not much I could have said about rotating to lanes or ganking or yada yada yada. But yeah, you did pretty well. Just keep those few things in mind, staying behind your heroes. And that's probably the biggest thing that you'll see improve your game when you do play Wisp. So good job, kept up with the warding and everything. I do like to see people playing heroes that aren't the usual. So good on you for picking the Wisp. And I'm going to get right on to the next replay because I've just been doing these all day and I got to shoot them all out. So thanks for sending it in. I'm sorry, I'm going to try and pronounce your name. I'm going to say it's Pare. Pare I don't know. Pare. Thank you for sending it in. Hopefully you learned a little bit about playing IO, positioning, stuff like that. You can keep it in mind next time you play. But it was a good game, and good job, man. So thanks for sending it in, and I'm off to the next episode. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. I have my series from lane to lane where I just cast some everyday pubs that you guys send me. I also do some more professional pubs like games from Koikva, Miracle, whoever I can get my hands on from Dodobuff. I have a learning series as well, so feel free to check that out. There's some more info in the description as well as some videos linked in the annotations at the end here. Thanks a lot.